Welcome to the GCN Racing News Show. Coming up this week, 5 things we've learned from the first 9 days of an enthralling Vuelta Espana. We also had an exciting weekend's racing at GP Plouay and the Bretagne Classic, the 4-day Deutschland Tour, and we also have the latest transfer news and rumours, as well as the Junior Tour of Wales. First up, what a week it's been at La Vuelta a España. The leader's red jersey has changed hands on no fewer than 5 occasions since last week's show. From Roche to Lopez to Teuns to Lopez to Edet and finally, at least for now, to Nairo Quintana. As things stand, going into today's rest day, just 20 seconds separates the first 4 riders on GC. Quintana, Roglic, Lopez and Valverde. Those riders have been head and shoulders above the rest on the climbs for the most part, except for a young man by the name of Tadej Pogachar, whose win yesterday on the super tough Andorra stage was nothing short of incredible. He displayed the power, tenacity, confidence and maturity of someone many years older, and he now sits 5th place on the GC. So going into the second week, what have we learned so far? Well, to start with, we've learned that Movistar's tactics can be baffling. Early on, Alejandro Valverde said that Nairo Quintana was the team's GC leader and then proceeded to attack him twice on stage 5, putting 42 seconds into him. A day or two later, Nairo Quintana told journalists that the team's only GC leader was Valverde, only to attack him yesterday and go into the race lead. Movistar's strategy at Grand Tours is often questioned, none more so than this year's Vuelta, but I for one hope that they never change. We also bemoan the boring strategy of Sky or Ineos, who put such a stranglehold on the Tour de France that they can often stifle any attacks. I think Mihai Kazuka put it best on Twitter. Back home, in time to see Valverde dropping Quintana. Never change, Movistar. I have to agree. Their tactics are also not going down too well internally. Here is Marc Soler yesterday, visibly frustrated at being told to wait for Quintana to pace him up the climb, whilst off the front on his own and in a race-winning position. Now, you can understand his reaction. He's never won a Grand Tour stage before, but actually, this is a pretty normal tactic when, as a team, your biggest goal is to win the race overall. We'd love to know what you would have done in Soler's situation. Would you have obeyed team orders or go against them and try and take the biggest victory of your career? Let us know in the comments section below. We also had the confirmation last week that this is definitely the year of youth in cycling. Tadej Pogachar became the youngest winner of a Vuelta stage since 1981 on Sunday. He'll turn 21 1 week after the Vuelta finishes. I'm not sure what you were doing at 20, but I for one wasn't dropping some of the best climbers in the world. I wish I had been. Along with him, Bernal, Evenepoel and Hirschi amongst others, we are definitely seeing a new generation not just emerge, but win some of the biggest races in the world. I've been reporting on cycling for decades, and whilst there's often the odd freak of nature who wins big at the age of 20, I don't remember ever seeing so many young riders doing well at the same time. What's it down to? That's a tough one to answer, but it might be because they've been using power meters and training like professionals from a very young age. It might be because the sport is almost undoubtedly a hell of a lot cleaner. Whatever it is, it's very exciting to watch, and long may it continue. If you're a little older though, don't worry, because there's a man who's holding fort for us oldies. Alejandro Valverde. In winning stage 7, he became the 3rd oldest rider ever to win a stage of the Vuelta at 39 years and 4 months. To put that into some kind of perspective, that makes him older than Lloydie. And he's showing no signs of slowing down. That stage win was no fluke. He got the better of Roglic, Miguel Angel Lopez and Quintana on one of the steepest finishes of the race. Although, admittedly, those type of gradients suit him down to the ground. Nevertheless, you wouldn't bet against the current world champion defending his crown in Yorkshire in 4 weeks' time. We also learned that you should never ever give up. Angel Madrazo is case in point here. Between 2011 and 2013, he was teammates with Valverde at Movistar, after which he was dropped. Since then, he's been riding for pro-continental teams, and at the age of 31, his career could quite easily have fizzled out without too much to shout home about. Up until last Wednesday, that is. Madrazo was up the road in a break, as he had been for almost every other stage, with just 2 riders for company. It looked like a suicide mission for them all, but then the gap kept rising. However, Madrazo was dropped on the penultimate climb and then on the last climb 3 times. Each time he clawed his way back up, the last time with just 1 kilometre to go, at which point from somewhere he managed to find the power and the energy to attack and take one of the most memorable stage wins I've seen for some time. And it was almost derailed at the foot of the climb by his own teammate. Here, he was getting an unwanted push from his team car, which almost took both he and Jose Herrada out of the race. Anyway, it's Madrazo who is this week's GCN Rider of the Week. Very well deserved. Finally, we learned that short stages can be incredibly exciting, but gravel isn't for everyone. Yesterday's stage was just 94 kilometres and took Pogachar just 3 hours to finish, but we had non-stop action from start to finish, some of which we didn't see because the weather got so bad near the finish that we lost television pictures. In many ways, though, that just added to the suspense. In that time, we missed a gravel section towards the finish where there were 2 crashes. Miguel Angel Lopez, who had been off the front and looking good to go back into the race lead, was one of them. That was pretty obvious due to the blood on his arm. The other crash only became evident after the finish. Primož Roglic crashed into a motorbike that had stopped around a corner, something which also had a significant impact on the stage. Jumbo-Visma manager Richard Plugge was not happy, tweeting to say that gravel roads should have no place in road races in 2019 when we have paved roads. Now, I'd be interested to see your take on this. Does he have a point, or do you enjoy watching the races with gravel? It's an interesting take, and you imagine on that basis that he also doesn't think that cobbles have a place in road races in 2019, but I can't imagine them going anywhere anytime soon, can you? So let's have your thoughts on gravel in road races by taking the poll on your screen right now. Before we move on, I wanted to let you know what we've got coming up this week here on GCN Racing. We'll continue with daily worldwide highlights of the Vuelta from tomorrow, whilst on Sunday we've got our first live international cyclocross race of the season from Eeklo with live commentary from Dan and Tom Last. Unfortunately, we're not able to show that in the Netherlands, Belgium, US or Canada. We'll also be bringing you short highlights of the Tour of Britain, which starts this Saturday. Don't forget as well, check in this week. We've got live coverage of the Bulls Ladies Tour with Jose Bean. That's live worldwide, to check that one out. Moving on to other races, the Women's World Tour moved to Brittany for the 18th edition of the GP Plouay. This weekend's racing, especially with the World Championships just a little under a month away, many choose it as a test to see how their racing legs are. European champion Amy Pieters was back to defend her title and was very much in the mix. Local rider Audrey Cordon-Rago was on attacking form and looking to become the first French winner of the race. Nicola Noskova of Bigla was one rider really in an attacking mood and continually splitting the race. It was, though, in the end, world champion stripes of Anna van der Breggen who launched her race-winning bid for glory on the final climb, soloing in to win the race for the first time in her career, ahead of Sunweb's Corin Rivera, who is still hunting for her first win this season, taking her 10th podium of 2019, just edging out Amy Pieters. Other notable mentions have got to go, though, to Elena Emiliusuk of Canyon SRAM, who was in an attacking mood and clearly, having been given some freedom, she really looked like she's on top form. Starting in 1931, the Bretagne Classic was traditionally held on a circuit before the organiser decided in 2016 to show off a little bit more of Brittany by changing it to a large loop, followed by one finishing circuit. Sunday gave us one of the most exciting and attacking single-day classics for a while. There was definitely an air of World Championship preparation and testing for many riders, including former winner Elia Viviani, who is very much the man on form and the subject of, well, much will he, won't he, for the World Road Race Championships. A group of 3 eventually formed, containing EF Education first Sepp van Mark, Mitchelton Scott's Jack Haig and Lotto Soudal's Tish Benoot. Tish Benoot showed his hand early and jumped with 1.5 kilometres to go. He was caught. Sepp van Mark took a cheeky glance over his shoulder and launched a move from the front with 900 metres to go. And that was it. Game over. Haig and Benoot looked at each other, and Van Mark's pre-victory salute reaction said it all. The EF Education first rider is one, when you look at his results, You expect a list of victories a mile long, but this was his first World Tour race victory of his career. The reintroduction of the Deutschland Tour in Germany in 2018 after a 10-year hiatus was met with much celebration, especially, as you can imagine, from a new generation of young German riders. The race is only 4 stages long. The previous inceptions, when at its peak, was up to 10 days long, and for many, it was being vaulted as an other end-of-season Grand Tour to challenge the Vuelta. Having missed out on a stage win last year, German sprinter Pascal Ackermann took the opening stage in a bunch sprint ahead of UAE Team Emirates duo of Alexander Kristoff and Simone Consoni. Kristoff went on better the following day, taking his first victory since June ahead of a frustrated Sonny Colbrelli. Ackermann lost time and the leader's jersey. A lumpier stage the following day saw Trek Segafredo's Jasper Stuyven make a monster attack on the run into the finish after De Koning Quickstep had worked hard all day to control the race. It took a monumental effort from Kasper Asgreen to close the gap to the flying Stuyven, but then he managed to outkick him in the sprint. The Trek man, though, became the third leader in as many days with 1 stage to go. With all the climbs loaded in the front part of the stage, the final one came down to a reduced bunch sprint. This time, though, it was Sonny Colbrelli of Bahrain Merida, so often the nearly man, who roared across the line in effort, with Jasper Stuyven taking the overall victory. Before we finish with the racing results, we wanted to give a nod to the Junior Tour of Wales, which finished after last week's racing news show. Dan Martin, Hugh Carthy and Tom Pidcock are amongst the former winners of the race, while last year's Tour de France winner Geraint Thomas took second back in 2004. The 5-stage event was this year won by Lewis Askey, winner last year of the Junior Paris-Roubaix, underlying his versatility as the Junior Tour of Wales is far from flat. The rider from Backstead Cycling didn't win a stage, but his consistency paid off with that final yellow jersey. The Queen stage on the final day, which finishes up the tumble, one of the hardest climbs in the area, was won by Isaac Peatfield, who attacked just inside the closing kilometre. I dare say we'll see plenty of those names in the not too distant future. On to some transfer news now. De Koning Quickstep have been busy signing young Belgian talent again, acquiring Mauri van Sevenent, son of former pro Wim. Mauri briefly led the Tour de l'Avenir last week and looks like a very promising climber, having won the Valle d'Aosta stage race this year. A number of riders have also been linked with Bahrain Merida for next season. Mark Cavendish, Bernie Eisel, Wout Poels, Eros Kopecky and Rafa Vals. They certainly seem to be amongst the most active in the transfer market. One move that is confirmed is that of Dane Magnus Kort, who will move from Astana to EF Education First, while Jan Hirt is also leaving Astana and moving back to CCC. Cofidis continues to diversify and internationalise their lineup. They confirmed the signing of Nathan Haas last week. That's a good move for the Katusha man. Applications were also coming in last week for the Women's World Tour, which was met with a bit of shock and concern that one of the world's most successful teams, Bulls Dolmans, were not on the list. The team released an official statement on their website. This has got to do with the duration of the contracts with the 2 main sponsors, Bulls Rentals and the Dolmans Landscaping Group. Team manager Erwin Janssen explains, "We have set the budget until the end of the 2020 season. At this moment, we're working hard on the budget and sponsorship for the subsequent seasons. Because of the 4-year requirements of 2020 to 2024 by the UCI, we can't yet comply with the Women's World Tour licenses for the next 4 years." The Bulls Dolmans cycling team have delivered the world champion for the last 4 years. They've won the Women's World Tour ranking 4 times, won over 25 World Cups, and since 2015 they've been the winner of the UCI World Tour ranking for the best team. Also, this year the Bulls Dolmans team is leading this classification already. As one of the leading teams for many, many years, I for one respect that they want to make sure they've got everything in place first. That's it for this week. If you fancy watching something pretty epic, head over to the Global Triathlon Network, where Mark went on a physical and emotional roller coaster at the Norseman Extreme Triathlon, touted by many as the world's toughest triathlon. Thanks for watching. Have a great week. See you soon. Bye for now.